What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Bronx Pinstripes show. Scott, it's been a day for me already. We just talked to Max Goodman. That was wonderful, as always. Stay tuned for that in the pod. But I knew my day was off to a hell of a start when at 6:20 in the morning, Harrison is screaming from his room. I open the door and I say, "Good morning, Harrison." And he says, "No, not you." I knew it was going to be a fun morning.
You know, Kemp, when he was a little younger, did something very similar, and they can just be like pointed mean, like really just mean. Like, so Bevan would wake him up and like he would just like thrash around and be like, "You have a dumb brain," or something like that, or "You have something like along those lines," like calling her names in like the way that he has no idea what he's saying. Yeah, that's pretty funny. I had a middle of the night wake up as well. We have a little regression in some areas for a streak here. So trying to kick that. I'm like, I thought we were done with this, but no. Yeah. One more bout to rear the head of sleep. So
he was defiant as he's ever been this morning. And then on the drive to school, I knew it was just like add cherry on top. So it rained heavy last night. And anytime it rains heavy, you just know your drive to my 7-minute drive to daycare is going to instantly be 14 minutes because there's puddles on the ground. To boot, as you know, like I have to cross in Ramsey. You're familiar with Ramsey. I have to cross some train tracks. A car broke down on train tracks. Okay.
Like going over right in front of Brady's?
In front of Brady's, but no, it was further down. I crossed the tracks in a different spot over near the Finch Park. But a car just in the middle. So that's normally where I cross the train track. So I get there and there's cop cars and there's just traffic galore. And there's a car just sitting on the train tracks. And what that also meant was the trains at the station in Ramsey couldn't go. So it is just a complete cluster F. It took me like 45 minutes. Okay. That should take 20 minutes round trip. Took me almost an hour to get to and from daycare. But that wasn't even the best part. Harrison's eating a yogurt pouch in the car. I turn around and I just see he painted the ceiling of the car with a yogurt pouch. And so I'm just trying to clean yogurt off the ceiling. I'm stuck in traffic. Meanwhile, I'm texting you guys like, guys, I don't know if I'm going to make it back for this interview with Max Goodman. I'm done with when. Sometimes I just wish just abort button on a day, just get me to the next day.
You gotta leave the yogurt, the go-gurt on the ceiling. Let it harden.
Let it crust
and deal with it from there. Having a car on a train track is a bad situation. That was like when the trains from Brooklyn stopped and you tried to get a cab. It was impossible. So you were basically stuck. Couldn't go across the river for a long time. And if the trains are down, in the tri-state area, that means everywhere else is congested and you're in deep shit. So not a great start, but hey, good thing because Yankees baseball is back. Games have started. We haven't talked really since then. And we got moonshots from big dudes that are in the minor leagues. So, prospect status is rising.
22 runs and a Spencer Jones 470-foot blast on the first day of spring training, I think got the juices flowing for a lot of Yankees fans.
Dude, 400. When I saw the number, I saw 475 the first time, but I saw 470. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And you look at some of the concerns that scouts have or someone has is his power that has in the minor leagues and the home run prowess. A lot of these guys don't really get to that part of their game until they get to the major leagues as well. I mean, Gary Sanchez was a prime example of that too. Even Judge, like everything increased when they got to the.
Wait, hold on. What are you referring to on Scout?
I remember reading Scout that power was for Spencer Jones, like the actual home run power as he was coming up was one of those areas that wasn't like a massive strength considering his body type. But the guy's got it in him, and he's got stolen base legs. Judge has, and both of their strides are just massive, gargantuan strides.
Judge can steal bases.
He can steal bases, but that wasn't really in a scouting report necessarily. He's a big, more of a lumbering guy. Where I'd say, not lumbering. Lumbering is a terrible word for him.
Lumbering implies not mobile, not athletic.
Stanton is lumbering. But Spencer Jones, I don't know what it is, but the stolen bases came at a high clip. So he's got that twitch too, like that first step which you don't see a lot of
He
those big
stole
guys
43
doing.
bases. Spencer
Judge
Jones
doesn't have that first step on the base paths like he does.
So Spencer Jones stole 43 bases in single and double A last year. He hit 16 home runs, and 16 home runs is his career high minor league home runs. He hit 29 doubles. If you compare that to Aaron Judge's minor league stats, Judge's career high in home runs was 2015 between double and triple A, 20 home runs.
Yeah.
He never stole more than 13 bases in the minor leagues.
So yeah, the stolen base thing, there's definitely something there with his feet on the base paths where he's able to get out quicker. And I think for bigger guys, that's always, one of the areas that's tough. You're moving a lot more, body mass to get off on that first step. Once you get going, and Judge is the same way. Once you get going, it's, he can run. But usually that first step for those bigger guys is a little bit slower, but seemingly Spencer Jones, not the case. And I'm not worried about the power at all. When you are 6'6", 6'7", and you're making contact and you're getting stronger as you're developing as a human being, which he still is, the power is going to be there. That's not even a shadow of a doubt in my head. So interesting guy. And 470, that's a real number. That is a number. I don't care which way the wind was blowing. That is a number.
Yes, it's just always fun. It's like this game was Saturday, right? That was the Saturday afternoon game. I think it was, and I wasn't able to watch the game, but I was checking in on my phone, and I saw 22 runs. Like, damn, okay. I see you, Yankees. Even though it was, I think Volpe was the only starter to have played in that game.
I was going to say, towards the end of the game too, when you're dropping a bunch of runs in the first spring training game, you're probably going up against like single A guys at that point. But here nor there, 470, that's the number I see.
So a couple other thoughts from the handful of games that we've had. Soto was hitting second, Judge third. That's a lot of the reports that we had over the past month or so. Soto, obviously high on base percentage guy, walks a lot, leads the league in walks quite often, having him ahead of Judge. And then also, if LeMahieu is going to be leading off, that gives you a righty combination to start the game. So that is seemingly how they're going to start with the lineup. Soto hit an opposite field home run in his first game. And then I saw a bunch of articles about how it's just the titles of these articles were weird, talking about how Soto's unapologetic for his celebrations and Soto not shy to showboat and things like that. Like, did you see any of these like headlines?
No, I didn't see the articles, but it's something that I would fully expect, because when you see a guy that does, that shuffle, the lean towards the pitcher, I mean, we've seen it for years. It's not like we don't know that what he does. It's never bothered me when he was on other teams. It's just a guy who has a flair in the way that he plays. I got zero issue with it. I love it even more now that he's on my team. But no, it's not surprising though. It's something to write about because it's different. Different.
Do you think that's going
for the Yankees?
It's okay. So that's where I think the articles were coming from, is that like normally Yankee hits a home run, head down, toss the bat aside, run around the bases. Like not a lot of showboating, not a lot of celebration. And Soto is more of an outward emotional player. And he, even in his articles, was talking about how, hey, if a pitcher strikes me out in a big spot and he wants to celebrate, cool. That's part of the game, because if I hit a home run in a big spot, I'm going to be celebrating. So it's a two-way street.
Good. We have a guy that's a top three batter in the major leagues that also will pimp it a little bit. Like, there's nothing wrong with adding some more of that emotion to this team, and everything. The big pickup that I'm reading, like, I don't care what the headlines are about flair and showboating, all that. The overall vibe of spring training that I'm reading and seeing everywhere is that it's highly exciting, that everybody's has a different type of focus down there. They're all having fun. They're it's just seemingly like a looser environment. Granted, a week into spring training, I get it. Like, everybody's happy to be there.
No, this is the time for overreactions.
But that's it. Like, he does bring a different side of it, and he backs it up. It's not like he's a guy he's not like we're Donaldson, we're talking ourselves into the way that he is. That's not what this is. Like, he does it for him. He has the bat that.
Remember when Donaldson pimped a warning track fly ball?
Yeah.
last year. He like did a crow hop out, and it was like off the base of the wall. Like, oh,
Yeah.
dude.
No, this is a bona fide, like, unbelievable player that also has some flair. Great. That's fantastic because it's going to rub off, and it's not like he's doing it and not backing it up. So
Well,
that type of guy who has the track record to do the thing. I'm not worried about it, and it does feel loose. And I know we'll talk to Max later in this episode about it, but the Oswaldo Cabrera, real loose, similar type of, he's got that energy. I like it. I like the energy with the team. I like the vibes feel like they're good. Even Verdugo, it seems, like he's assembling with this squad in a good way. And you hear about all the articles about how Judge and Rizzo were like pining for Verdugo in during the seasons, and Rizzo talking to him when he's on first base, saying that the Yankees are trying to get him, and like all these things. Like the Yankee players obviously saw that guy across the way and said, I like the way that he plays, the
that's
intensity that he plays.
surprising, don't you think?
Well, he's competitive. He's really competitive. And he's always come across as that competitive guy and shows that emotion. And I think that they want that. They want a little bit more of that within the team. So I like it. If Judge is the stoic, reserved guy as the leader, and everybody is kind of doing their thing around him, fantastic. And Judge is embracing that too as the captain and the leader of the team.
You might not remember this, but Stanton shows a lot of emotion too. We just haven't seen it because he hasn't been playing well. But when he's playing well, he very often is animated in his celebrations and stuff like that.
Oh, he's got some bat flips behind him, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He certainly does. Yeah, he needs to be able to back that thing up, and he understands that too. Like it doesn't play when you're not hitting well. So yeah, hopefully we get to see skinny Stanton celebrating.
And I'm not worried about Soto I'm not worried about Soto not playing well. Like he's played well every single year of his career. I have no doubt he's going to be good again in 2024.
Yeah.
The only thing is like you said, this is not the Yankee way, is to pimp home runs and things like that. And so inevitably there will be the comment, be it from an announcer or a writer or whatever, old guy yelling at cloud on Twitter about how this is not how it's done in the Bronx. This is not how a Yankee should act, because inevitably that will happen.
Do not forget the demographic of the readers of the newspapers and the listener of the sports radio.
What is that demographic?
It's an old guy. It's an old guy that does
67-year-old retired guy who has not left his lazy boy recliner in 19 hours.
Yeah, that thing is worn to the bone in his basement. There's no doubt about it. And he's watching every single Yankee game, and he loves the tradition of the New York Yankees. So yes, there will be those articles that will always come out about that for the next 25 years until there's a new a turnover in demographic. But you see the vibes being in a good spot, and the focus that they keep talking about that. I heard Blake talking about that too. Like I think the guys understand not only what happened last year with the embarrassment that came with not making the playoffs and not hitting remotely close to what they should have been, but also the opportunity that's in front of them with the guys that are on the team right now, and they may not have that opportunity in future years. So this is that window for them to really capitalize on the talent, and seemingly that focus is there.
So one interesting thing about Juan Soto, because he hit the opposite field nuke, is that he
ball up in the zone, Oppo. It was a tremendous piece of hitting. He smoked the ball.
So a couple episodes ago, we were talking about how Soto might have his career high in home runs at Yankee Stadium because short porch, blah, blah, blah. And we got a comment on YouTube talking about how Juan Soto's actually does not pull. Like he's not a dead pull home run hitter. Yeah. And so we just pulled the numbers, and his career spray chart for home runs, 57 to the pull side, 49 to center field, 42 for opposite field. So it's pretty evenly distributed, obviously more to the pull side, but like you see a lot of times, guys, it'll be 80% of their home runs are to the right side of, if they're a left-handed hitter, to the right side of center field, or left side if they're a right-handed hitter. But this is very evenly distributed.
And he's such a good, and I love that. First of all, I love seeing evenly distributed spray charts. It's one of the things that I love about DJ LeMahieu, and why we've talked about Gleyber Torres, becoming more of a complete hitter, becoming more consistent in that regard. If you're able to spray the ball, you're a bigger problem for the opponents. I am interested to see, because I believe Juan Soto is this good and is has the ability, the bat to ball ability with power. And the phrase generational talent gets thrown out all the time, but truly matches with what this guy is. Does he have the ability to favor the short porch a little bit more because there is?
Well, you don't want him doing that though.
Well, I'm wondering if he's that good of a hitter to be able to do it without sacrificing much from his game.
That's dangerous though, because
it is dangerous. But when you have a guy that can do it, then and take advantage of the opportunity, then best of both worlds.
Mark Teixeira talked about this when he came to Yankee Stadium. When Mark Teixeira was with the Braves and with the
Texas Rangers,
but then he went to Anaheim before. But he was a 300 hitter. Okay. Yeah. His first year with the Yankees, I want to say he hit in the high like 280s, low 290s. And he was a MVP candidate that year. He hit like 30 plus home runs that year. Then as he went and kept playing in Yankee Stadium, as his Yankee career went on, he just got pull happy because he could literally hit pop flies to right field and they would be home runs as a left-handed hitter. And he said that took him out of his game. And he was never close to a 300 hitter again with the Yankees. He became a 240 hitter.
Yeah, I mean, that was part of it probably, but also the nukes that were base hits that he missed the launch angle onto right field became outs as well because of the shift.
The more shifting definitely played a factor in that as well. But
yeah, so he was still a pull hitter. I mean, he was still a pull hitter. He could go, he could hit away. I would need to see his spray charts when he was with Anaheim and Texas and Atlanta, but you don't go from being a base hits.
But you don't go from being a 300 hitter to a 240 hitter just because a few base hits to right field are taken away.
I understand that. And certainly Juan Soto's a better hitter. Juan Soto's a better hitter.
Yes. But Juan Soto might lose some home runs to left center field because it's really hard as a left-handed hitter to hit a home run to left center field at Yankee Stadium.
If he hits that fastball up and away over that left center field like he did, and he has the ability to do that, and think about that. Think about how fast you have to be able to have your hands and be able to get the bat through that zone to effectively do that. That's crazy because he's going with a pitch, but he's able to put that type of power and barrel up a ball because it was a laser. And I don't know, he's got a different bat to ball ability as well that wouldn't surprise me if we saw a higher percentage to right field because he understands that he can take advantage of that.
Mark Teixeira, 2008, between the Braves and the Angels, hit 308. He actually hit 358 with Anaheim in 54 games.
Yeah, he won a batting title, didn't he?
Well, he was only there half a season.
Did he win a batting title with Texas?
No, he never won a batting title.
He never did? I thought he did.
No. And then 2009 for the Yankees, finished second in MVP, hit 292 with 39 home runs, 122 RBIs. He led the league in total bases. He had a 948 OPS, just an absolutely beast of a season. Then 256 in 2010, 248 in 2011, 251 in 2012. Then he went through a bunch of injuries in 2013.
When did the wrist start?
2013.
The sheath.
The WBC. Remember, he injured it in the WBC
right.
Prior to the 2013 season. 2014 in 500 plate appearances, only hit 216. 2015 when he sort of had a rebound season, 255, and then in his final season with the Yankees he hit 204.
Yeah. I mean, there's a number of factors there. Certainly him being a little bit more pull happy plays into it. Age obviously plays into it. And then obviously he had that wrist injury that diverted his career, no doubt.
It'll be interesting though, because I guess I assumed Juan Soto pulls a lot of his home runs, and that's just not the case. I mean, sorry for not watching a ton of Juan. I see Juan Soto highlights, and I watch Juan Soto beat the Astros in the World Series in 2019. That's my experience with Juan Soto. So it'd be interesting to see how his spray chart looks this season with the Yankees.
Elite bat to ball though. Elite bat to ball. Hands. He can turn on the inside fastball.
Discipline. Elite bat. Yeah.
He can turn on the ball that's inside, and he can go out and get it with power as he showed up and away and deposit something over the fence. So man,
I still imagine he'll hit some home runs that would have been outs other places to right field that will turn into home runs at Yankee Stadium. That inevitably happens with every left-handed hitter.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Carlo Rodon. So much better first outing of 2024 spring training than 2023 spring training already. Check mark for Carlo Rodon. Through 48 pitches. He mixed in a cutter. Okay. So self-awareness, adding a new pitch. Carlo Rodon adding in the cutter. Granted, he said it's still developing, and the home run he allowed, which was the only hit he allowed, came off of the cutter. but better start for Rodon this spring than last spring.
We're going to stop screwing this up. Okay. I sent you a text message that you did not reply to.
Well, yeah, Rodon.
Okay.
Rodon.
We're not going to screw this. Yes. Rodon. It's ROE-DON. Okay. That's the way you spell it. That's the way I spell it. That's the way it's going to be, because that'll help us. Rodon. Yeah. I don't know, man. Look, the velocity's up. I was questioning, I hit the chat, when I saw what his pitch limit was. I was surprised that it was at 50, obviously this early in the spring. I know he's been working out down there and ahead of the pace as normal with his workouts and being able to build up that arm strength. Obviously we're seeing the gun pop a little bit more, but that's, not from just being Tommy Tough Guy and going out there and trying to throw hard. It's seemingly like he's actually ramped himself up to a point. So
do you know what I noticed as well?
What? Thinner because no mustache.
Rodon was smiling.
Rodon.
My vow is to try and say it different every single time I say Carlos Rondon.
Okay, yeah, you're doing it. Until he proves that he can actually be worthy of that contract, we're not going to pronounce his name correctly.
But Carlos Rodon was smiling, which I did not see him do once last year.
Well, he was smiling, but it was sarcastic when he was flipping a bird to a fan in the outfield or above the dugout. So, look, I'm not saying anything about him after one start. I have no idea what it was. He still struggled, whether he looked better, more sharp in certain areas. It doesn't matter.
He didn't leave the mound with an injury, so the performance,
the result doesn't matter in spring training, especially in your first one. I could care less what that looks like. I need him to be healthy. I need him to be able to. If this cutter is developing, I want to see that more. I want to see progression in his pitches throughout spring training, and him to be ready to come out there and be the guy that everybody expects him to be once the season starts. So,
well, but the cutter, adding a cutter to his pitch mix, I get it. That's probably the easiest pitch to add because it's basically a hybrid fastball slider. That's what a cutter is. Like, and you already throw a fastball and you're
just throwing the fastball with a different grip. I mean, it's just.
But realistically, that would be to right-handed hitters. You're not going to throw a cutter to left-handed hitters.
He could throw it to left-handed hitters. It depends where he's starting it.
No.
Look, he's got to understand and figure out what that motion is on the cutter.
When Andy Pettitte developed a cutter, Andy Pettitte developed a cutter specifically to jam right-handed hitters. That was the only reason he developed his cutter. He stuck with fastball and curveball to left-handed hitters, and Rodon will stick with.
You're trying not to, which is difficult.
Fastball and slider to left-handed hitters. And the cutter would be to give a different look to right-handed hitters.
I understand that will be the primary use of this pitch, is you want to be able to jam the hitter on the hands, and having a cutter or a two-seamer or whatever it is to be able to hit on the hands is a good thing. That said, once he understands the shaping of that pitch and he feels confidence in the shaping of that pitch and the execution and delivery off of his hand of that pitch, he will be able to use it in ways that you're not expecting, because the batter won't be expecting it either. And if he's able to control it, then it just does give him another arsenal, another tool in his belt for his arsenal. So I'm glad that they're working on a third pitch. I hope that this has been something that he's been working through over the winter as well, and it's not just a spring training thing, but it's a good deal. And I really hope he gives it a real chance, because I think as he's getting older, he also, that's going to be important for him to have another pitch. You can't be a guy that goes through your entire career as a two-pitch guy. It's very difficult to do that, especially in today's age. So, having him develop that pitch is a very good thing.
Basically, everyone has thrown now except Cole. I think Cole's starting Friday. I think they announced Cole starting Friday. Stroman threw 52 pitches in his first start. Cortez was pain-free after his first start. He did give up 7 hits in 2 2/3 innings. And then Clark Schmidt threw 2 innings in his first outing, which we talk about with Max coming up.
Yeah. And I was excited for Clark Schmidt last year. Whether he's in a position that is in the number 5 spot, or if he ends up being some type of a swing guy, it's going to be an interesting year for him. He's got all of the ability to come out and be a successful major leaguer and one that can sustain. And we've seen, month spurts of him competing at a very high level and with good results. He's got the full repertoire of a guy that can be a bona fide starting pitcher in this league. So we'll see what happens with him, but I'm excited to watch him progress again and just see how he can continue to develop. He's fun he's the type of guy that I like watching pitch because he's got so much ability to mix in different pitches.
A couple other things that stuck out for me so far in the first, week and a half of spring. Judge, the obligatory took grounders at first base. I think he's done that each of the past 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Emergency role. Good. It's a good thing for him to do.
Emergency role. Immediately people are like, oh, Judge is going to be a first baseman in 3 years.
Well, not that far-fetched.
Yeah. I don't know.
DH first base, he's got the ability. Who knows? He's a hell of an athlete, so I wouldn't put it past him.
How realistically, like how much safer are you playing first base than right field?
You're getting a lot less on your feet. A lot less on your feet. That's the
it's the same amount on your feet. It's
standing. I mean, running around distance to cover, running into walls,
quicker movements. Okay, sure. Right field, first base. You're in plays way more often than right field.
I'm not worried about him being in plays. I'm not worried about Judge at all.
That's movement.
It's as you're getting older, and it's just there's less mobility needed at first base. It's more agility, less mobility.
Yeah,
you need at first base.
Another thing that happened this week is Cody Bellinger signed with the Cubs, 3 years, $80 million. There's a bunch of odd things in this contract. So 2024, he has a $27.5 million base. If he opts out after the season, that base goes to $30 million. 2025, also 27.5. If he opts out after the 2025 season, that base for that year goes to $32.5 million. And then for 2026, it's $25 million if he even makes it to that. So I guess it's all guaranteed, but it's front loaded. So I don't know. It's weird. This is kind of an interesting contract.
Scott Boras being sneaky with the way that
Scott Boras is incapable of just doing here's a 5-year, $100 million contract. That's it.
But this is exactly what the market. This is exactly what I was expecting from the market for Cody Bellinger. And not to say that this contract is exactly what I was expecting, but I was expecting apprehension in giving him a long-term deal. And this is exactly what that is. That is showing me that teams were apprehensive to go off of what he did last year because of what he hadn't done in the past and the inconsistencies that he has shown in the past. And he still did miss time last year as well. So this is kind of what I was expecting from a guy like him. He's got multiple prove-its again. And if he can do it, maybe the market says something different if he's able to put 2 years post-injury together, like he did last year. If he's able to do that, there's probably a much better opportunity for him to go out there and get a longer term deal. Granted, age is not going to be in his.
No, he's only 28 years old.
Okay, so then if he puts up another year, he's got the
10th,
ability.
He finished 10th in the MVP this past season. If he has another top 10, top 15 MVP finish, I have to imagine someone's giving him a long-term contract in the offseason.
2 years is a world of difference than 1 year, especially after what you've shown in the past. If he can back it up and say that, yeah, I am this guy, I am back to this MVP caliber type guy, then yeah, I would expect the same. I would expect that he's going to be a much higher, hotter commodity on the open market than after 1 year. But at least if not, he's got some stability for himself. So yeah, interesting contract, but not all that unexpected, to be honest, on my side.
You and I got in a little brouhaha in our group chat about Alex Verdugo and Cody Bellinger because I said that when Cody Bellinger signed for the 3 years, $80 million, again, I didn't know about the opt-outs and all that stuff, but on the face of it, it's like 26.7 million AAV, which is what the luxury tax hit in theory would be. I said, damn, I would have loved to have Cody Bellinger instead of Alex Verdugo. I know that was not the decision. It wasn't an either or scenario between those two players. Verdugo ended up in arbitration getting $8.7 million in his last year of arbitration. So the money is significantly different even at the $26 million. But the thing that surprised me is you saying, I bet you that Verdugo will have a better season than Cody Bellinger. And I don't know what you're basing this on other than the fact that I wanted to sign Cody Bellinger, because there's nothing in their history that would say Verdugo will be a better player than Cody Bellinger this year, next year, 7 years from now.
I didn't say that he will be a better player. I said that he will have a better year.
What's the difference?
Because I don't expect Cody Bellinger to stay healthy. That's the big difference. I think Verdugo is
You're seriously overblowing the Cody Bellinger injury stuff.
Okay,
fine. He had an injury season in 2021. Otherwise, he's played in 162 games, 156 games, 144 games, 130 games last year.
Did you just go? Yeah, we'll go back to last year. You said what? 130 games, right?
130 games last year. Yeah. That's one IL stint. If he has the same season as last year, do you think Alex Verdugo is going to finish 10th in the AL MVP?
30 games is one IL stint. Is that
130 really? Games he played?
Yes, so 30 games is one IL stint. I think it's
I think he went on the IL once, and then he had some other days
and he
off.
Stayed there. And he stayed there. He stayed there for more than the IL stint allowed for. But yes, he stayed there. So I expect. If
he plays 130 games, he will. Do you think Verdugo is going to play more than 130 games for the Yankees?
Yes. I think Verdugo. I do. I think Verdugo is going to have a big year. I think they are going to bring along Dominguez slower, and I think Verdugo is going to have a big year. And it wouldn't surprise me that if we're looking down in June and Alex Verdugo is the leadoff hitter for the Yankees, would not surprise me.
I think that would, no, that's not going to surprise me either. I even said Verdugo, especially against lefties especially against righties, makes a lot of sense as the leadoff hitter because he has hit right-handed pitching well in the past. But if you look at Alex Verdugo's last 3 seasons with Boston, he is a 103 OPS guy, 278 batting average, 334, 417 slugging for a 751 OPS. Fine. That's solid. Like, that's a league average offensive player. I'm not calling him trash, but like Cody Bellinger is a better player than that. I understand Cody Bellinger has had problems in the past, but I would be shocked if Cody Bellinger is a league average hitter this year. I'm not going to be shocked if Verdugo is a league average hitter this year.
Cool. So let's just make the bet then.
Yeah. What's the bet? Is this a money bet? Is this a we have to do something on the podcast bet?
No, I'm a big fan of the a nice steak dinner bet. Person's choice of restaurant. Nice steak dinner.
When's the last time I saw you in person?
Well, we're actually going to have a nice steak dinner in about in 3 weeks.
But we're not
2 weeks.
Yeah, but we're not going to have an answer to this. So unless we're going to split the bill and then retroactively someone has to Venmo the other person.
No, we will do it. So okay, here's the bet. The better bet. If this is the case, whoever loses the bet has to travel to the other person to have said dinner.
Gee, I don't know if I can sign up for that.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I would love to.
Built in.
Hey, Leanne, sorry, I got to go away this weekend. Why? I lost a bet to Scott, so I got to go take him.
You got to tell her now. You got to tell her now. You might be rooting for the other side of the bet, actually.
Yeah, I would be. I'd be trying to sabotage. I'd be getting a voodoo doll, poking him with needles on Cody Bellinger.
Okay, so
out of the house for 48 hours.
To back it up, yes, am I trolling you a little bit? 100%, no doubt about it. It's fun to do that. 2, I think Verdugo is going to have a good year. I think that him on a walk year is interesting, or with this lineup. I think he's going to see a lot of pitches that he didn't see in the past.
I'm not saying Verdugo's having a bad year.
And I think that there's a very good opportunity for him potentially to be in that leadoff spot more than we think. So putting all those together, plus Cody Bellinger, whether he's on the IL or just a little bit off because of being beat up, I don't expect him to put the same numbers up from last year. I don't think he's going to do it. So, maybe I'm just talking out of my ass, but I don't expect it. I think that guy has some issues sometimes, and he missed 30 games last year. That's for some reason an insignificant amount. That's a lot for an everyday player. That's a lot for an everyday player that you're looking to play every day in a position of need. It is. So
no, I'm not saying 32 games is insignificant. That's obviously a big chunk of time. Like if any starter on the Yankees misses a month of games, you're feeling that. Yeah. I just think with the Yankees outfield, Verdugo realistically is only going to play 130 games, 135 games if all things go well. And if that's what Bellinger is going to play as well, I would expect Bellinger to put up another 125, 130 OPS season, and I would expect Verdugo to be around a league average hitter because that's what these players have been for their careers.
I just have a feeling with the way that Verdugo is, as far as the guys that we have in the outfield, he's going to be the last one to get a day off. I think he's got the flexibility and ability to go out there and hit in different positions, play different positions. He's the guy that needs the rest the least.
No, I'm not saying for rest, but
for whatever reason, I think he's the guy that
we're hopeful,
and he's a lefty bat, which the Yankees want in the lineup.
Are you hopeful that Jason Dominguez is back in the summer?
I am hopeful.
Would hope he would be a starter in the outfield when he's back and hopefully healthy and playing well, right?
I would hope that he would be, yes.
Yes. And then in that case, who's not playing in the outfield?
Well, I think there's going to be a rotation into the DH spot, which
yes,
again,
rotation, exactly.
But Verdugo is going to be in the field quite a bit. I think he's going to be in there quite a bit.
Yeah.
We'll
Listen, I'm sure there'll be injuries because there's always injuries.
So are you agreeing to the bet or not?
Yeah, I don't know. I want to make the bet. I don't know that I can fly to Virginia
you
to
can
take
drive.
you out to dinner. Definitely won't be driving.
It's not that far. I'll meet you in the middle. Take the bet. Take the bet.
4 hours is my max in the car.
Take the bet.
Okay, we'll meet in the middle.
Okay.
Then it gets us both out of the house.
Yeah, it's a win.
Yeah. So we talk about this with Max coming up, but all the stuff about Blake Snell and how the Yankees met with him on Monday or met with Boras on Monday, and the two sides are no closer. That was reported by John Heyman. And then there's a lot of reports that from Randy Miller and others close to the Yankees that this is not going to happen with Blake Snell. We were talking about how there might be a situation he might just fall to the Yankees if no one else is in on him. Or do the Yankees pivot and make a trade for someone? Dylan Cease, obviously top of the list there. Spencer Jones, though, with obviously everyone's excited about him, but is the latest to be tagged as untouchable for the Yankees. We talk about all this with Max, but what I didn't ask you is, do you think Spencer Jones should be untouchable for the Yankees if they could get Dylan Cease or Bieber or Dylan Cease's
contract? Yeah, he's controlled for multiple years.
Yeah, two more seasons.
2 more seasons of Dylan Cease for Spencer. It's really hard because I'm the bias right now from seeing a 470-foot home run against a single A player is very, very much in my brain.
Against a single A player.
But yeah, I think you do it. Honestly, 2 years of Dylan Cease. I kind of want to walk this back. I don't think here's what I'll say. I don't think they're going to need to do it. I don't think they're going to need to have Spencer Jones in that deal. So if you're telling me that it has to be Spencer Jones for Dylan Cease, I'm walking it back. No, I would not do it.
Maybe
given the situation of the rotation currently, I don't think I would do that.
I did phrase it for Dylan Cease. But what I'm really asking is, should Spencer Jones be untouchable? Like any conversation with any team, I don't think he should be.
I think it's very difficult to make a player untouchable given that you don't know what that conversation is going to be. I feel like you should have, and if you're deeming him untouchable and then all of a sudden he's thrown in, oh man, now you're giving an untouchable away. So, there's leverage here potentially, but it would have to be an amazing deal for a controlled guy that can certainly help you in a significant way. And
what is the Yankees track record though? What is the Yankees track record of prospects? It's not that the prospect turns into Aaron Judge. It's that the prospect turns into Oswald Peraza or Miguel Andujar or Estevan Florial. This is not a knock on Spencer Jones. Like, I hope he turns into an all-star outfielder, but the odds are not in that favor happening. And the Yankees have not been able to bring their top prospects to the major league level and have them succeed at the major league level. Anthony Volpe, I hope, turns into that. But what we saw so far from Anthony Volpe is he can't hit at the major league level. Could that change? Of course that could change. But he couldn't hit at the major league level last year.
Not with consistency. But he can hit at the major league level.
Okay, you know what I mean?
To be more consistent.
I don't care that he can hit a home run at the majajor league level.
Yeah, but you're putting him in the pot of those other guys. That's not fair at all. He had way better output than anybody we've seen come up in a long time.
He had he had 700, 600 plate appearances. No other Yankees prospect who has been an 80 OPS plus player has gotten 600 plate appearances.
Yeah, I understand that, but he was there for a reason as well. Some of those other guys we would have seen who knows what we would have seen production wise. And I bet it wouldn't have held a candle to what Volpe put up last year. Anyway, that is not the point for me. Spencer Jones, again, it has to be the right situation. It has to be the right situation, but I would not take it off the table completely.
Agree.
Not at all, especially if they're able to sign Soto. If they're able to sign Soto, then kind of a logjam.
Yeah, and I know that you don't know if you're going to be able to sign Soto at this point. So maybe you're saying, well, we need to hang on to Spencer Jones because Spencer Jones is not going to be at the major league level this year. So he's not going to lose prospect value this year. I guess he could if he sucks.
You know what's funny is that if this year were last year and Spencer Jones had the minor league time that he does currently, he would have seen major league. He would have been in the major leagues last year.
Wait,
if this year was
say
last
that
year
again.
If the situation happened last year and Spencer Jones was in the position he is now with the amount of minor league time that he has currently, he would have seen major league time last year. Probably he would have probably come up over Pereira or some of these other guys at the end of the season. We would have seen Spencer Jones in the major leagues.
But he had just got to AA last year. So they weren't going to.
Exactly.
Yeah. He wasn't on the 40-man roster. So
and that's the big difference this year is that the depth allows that player to continue to develop in the minor leagues and not be rushed and have to come on. Not to say that some of those guys were rushed. They were just kind of, hey, let's just see what they have at the end of last year. But,
And you're right. If next winter the Yankees re-sign Juan Soto and Jason Dominguez has a good summer and you're like, wow, Jason Dominguez, starting center fielder, 2025, I have Aaron Judge. There is a jam behind for Spencer
100%.
Jones.
And you got to consider that, understanding that you have to also capitalize on the talent that is controlled on your roster. And if you have the ability to add a significantly impactful starting pitcher for 2 years to coincide with Garrett Cole's prime, Aaron Judge's prime, the beginning of a Dominguez, hopefully Volpe's coming into form, then you absolutely have to consider that, because the greater good of the next 2 years for you going after a championship is with that better starting pitcher than it is than Spencer Jones over that window.
Yep.
That if you got to look at it in that, you got to compartmentalize a little bit more when you're looking at him and what you'd get in return based on, who you have in that outfield.
All right. Well, anything else you want to talk about?
No, just let's go, man. Baseball's here. Let's get deeper into these games so we can, do more overreacting and see more sample size. I'm excited. Yesterday we had a bunch of the highly touted, pitching prospects that were throwing behind Schmidt. So I'm excited to see more of Beater, Warren. I'm excited to see more of these guys out there.
These are the guys that the Yankees are telling us is their pitching depth.
Yes, exactly. And again, if they were to go out and acquire another arm, now these guys are not going to be relied upon. They would have to knock the door down to make the team and to be some type of impact this year, which I love that situation. That position is a position of strength for the team.
Yeah. It's the same thing with last year where it's like, oh, the Yankees have roster depth. Look at all these guys that are able to call up. Well, when you're relying on that roster depth to be, 3 of your 9 starting players for months on end, you get exposed. And
also think about what would have been if they weren't in a position where they had to bring up Peraza and Pereira. What is the value of those 2 guys on the open market with them just stashed in the minor leagues for a much longer period of time? Pereira was raking, Peraza was raking, they don't see the exposure. Maybe they weren't ready yet. Maybe they had the time to develop there. Who knows? Maybe that time in the minor leagues had the ability to get them to a much better position of preparation to be in a major leagues.
I don't know that Peraza's value. Let's focus on Peraza. I don't know that his value on the trade market was impacted all that much from his major league playing time. I don't think he ever had serious value.
I think it was more about them choosing Volpe than anything with Peraza, honestly. Yeah. When there was still I don't know who's going to be. It's going to be Volpe. Is it going to be Peraza? Is between those 2 guys. That was the year before that, when they were coming up before that situation actually happened, when it was like we were looking forward and understood that this situation could be Volpe or Peraza. That was when both of them were at the highest.
And I don't know that a team Pereira's never going to be a centerpiece to a trade. So I don't know that a team who would be wanting to acquire
I don't think
Pereira,
you need to be a centerpiece though.
No, but what I'm saying
be...
is I don't know that a team that would be acquiring Pereira is going to look at his handful of major league at bats last year and be like, "Oh, that's it. He sucks." Like,
it didn't help him. That's all.
No, it didn't help him. I don't know that it hurt him necessarily though.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's going to wrap it up for this portion of the pod, but stay tuned. We did about a 30-minute conversation with Max, talked about a lot of good stuff, including backup infielder spot, and got into more in depth with the Peraza stuff. Stay tuned for that. We'll talk to you next week.